Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Leo season, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. My Sagittarians, this Leo season is another one of the fun ones. So, the last few Leo seasons, we have had Mercury retrogrades as a part of it. We had one last year, and then we had not a Mercury, but a Venus retrograde the year before. And I think it's important to kind of put in context that this is kind of our last one, especially since we also had the Mars retrograde partially in Leo. So there's kind of a bigger story being wrapped up within a small one. I have done videos about this in Leo season video and also in a Mercury retrograde video that you can check out, but I think it's important to kind of set the stage on the context of what we are in and what we're dealing with. So that's kind of where we're starting from. There's a lot of, I think, victory and understanding and empowerment here, and also a lot of really big change. And this is kind of feels more earth-shaking than maybe a Mercury retrograde should as we kind of approach it. But let's get into your first card. It's the King of Cups. You know, it definitely feels as though, well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is that Jupiter, your ruler, is in Cancer. And it definitely feels like you're being called into a more expansive form of existence, some power in your emotional life, really calling people on their behavior and only accepting what you deserve, listening to your emotional needs and desires and viewing them as value and as equally acceptable as anyone else's. I do also think, like, if you have any doubts around what you're doing, now is the time to embody some Leo energy and be like, doubts, who knows who that is. I don't have doubts. It's okay to doubt sometimes, but I do think there needs to be reaffirmation in this retrograde Leo season where you come back to maybe some parts of yourself that you have abandoned or left, and you don't come back to them as you were before. You come back to them with power and strength and belief in your desires and in your emotional prowess. And also, these are kind of partner cards. We also have a King of Wands. So we start off with these really strong, potent cards that involve passion and desire and emotional well-being, and things like that. So definitely, I think, take at least the first part of Leo season and really sit with the stories that you believe about yourself and what you've been building to over the past 3 years, ever since the summer of 2023, and how all of these retrogrades and these moments have affected you, and what do you believe of yourself today? What are the stories that you tell about yourself in this moment? And how can you step more firmly and more surely into your path, believing in the power of your desire and your emotional strength and the fact that you do deserve to get the things that you reach out for. Just because you're ruled by Jupiter doesn't mean that you get everything that you want all the time. And sometimes I think it can feel as though a lot of things kind of evade us, especially, my Jupiter ruled people. It can feel, there can be like really great times of abundance and stuff, and then it can just feel really restricted. And I think this is a moment to really say, you know what, I am not the measure of the good things that happen to me. I am the measure of the things that I do and I try and I strive for. And your real strength and power comes in your belief in things rather than in what has literally happened. It doesn't mean that, you can't be right about things being rough and rocky or struggling or things like that. But I do think, this recommitment, this reaffirmation of you being kind of the co-pilot of your own life and doing the things that you want. And if you've been hedging on a dream or desire that you have, this is the moment to really start reconnecting with that and being like, this is what I really want. And if you still have doubts, you can go in deeper, and the Mercury retrograde will help, and ask yourself, okay, if I'm not sure about this, is this something that I desire because of expectations, or is this something I desire because I desire it, because I want it, because it is what I truly need? And I think that will help you understand and feel more at peace with what you are going to have to do. And this reading kind of escalates, but this is the last minor arcana card I've got here. You have the Page of Coins, and Scorpio also got this card right before you. And this is about trust and faith and belief in care and um, whatever your experiences are, believing that something can be new and better, and also planting those seeds. I love, this figure with those like elk or reindeer. I'm not quite sure what they are. But this belief in care and tenderness and reciprocation, which is also something I think that the planets in Leo retrograding have been teaching us, this belief in innate value, this confidence in our purpose, whether we know what that is or not. So definitely take some time to really center in on what your passions and desires are, on what you want to invest in things, on where you want to put this massive amount of power that you have. Um, I will say, if you do that, you will get the tower. And the tower is not always bad. It just means that things are going to shift and change in order to make room for the stuff that you need. And a lot of the stuff that you have right now isn't going to be here on in the next 6 months. A lot of the things that you felt were sure are going to be unsure, but it's going to clear the way for these hopes and dreams that you have, for this desire and passion for progression that you have. And I think if you truly commit to that with belief and hope, a la Page of Coins, you will get things shaken up, and it will be a ride and it will be a lot. But I think on the other side, it will really clear things up for you. It'll clear up your purpose, it'll clear up your place in the world. Um, I always remind people and myself that the tower is about shaking foundations that were never sure in the first place, so that we can rebuild something more beautiful and more stable and more wholesome on the other side. It can be rough because we can put a lot of effort into a shaky tower, but if you truly want what you want, I think you do need a tower moment in order to get that activation. And as so often happens, with the tower comes death. Things are going to have to be repurposed and recycled. You're not going to be able to keep the same things and the same relationships and the same people if you truly want change and shift and difference in your life. It does mean you're going to have to get comfortable with death. I don't see death as evil or bad or dangerous. It is simply the passing away of things. And it can be hard, and we need to grieve those things, but it can also be really beautiful and uplifting and affirming to engage with death and to connect with the cycles of the world we live in. I think one of the saddest things about modern society is the disconnect from death and dying and understanding loss and being able to honor things that have passed away while also pursuing. Also, in the tarot, death precedes the tower. And in this reading, the tower precedes death. So they're interchangeable, interconnected, working together to clear things. And I've been called to pull an extra off the bottom of the deck for all of these readings, but we also have a Four of Wands. And I think all of this progression, the death and the tower and the having to come to terms with self and embrace our passions and desires, I really do think all of this is in aid of this really beautiful Four of Wands, which is about stability and home and belonging. I truly believe that if you follow this to its inevitable end. Also, the death and the tower are a reminder that Virgo season contains the eclipses, so we will be experiencing those anyways. But all of these things are in aid of these dreams of being accepted and cared for and believed. And, it doesn't have to be a small thing, it can be a big thing, but to be, seen for who you truly are and to have that safety and that connection in your life. So this is a big, big, big deal for you. All of these things are happening, my Sagittarius placements. I encourage you to embrace this and to see the changes that are going to come into your life as positive, even if you have to do some grieving, even if you have to say goodbye to things. There is a fresh energy coming your way. And this is especially true because we have all of the major planets transit, moving through different signs at this point. We have finally had Pluto officially in Aquarius, but Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, all of those planets are not permanently kind of situated in their next transit within a sign until 2026. I think the last one to fully get settled is going to be Uranus in April of 2026. So know that there is a huge transition coming, and that this Mercury retrograde is kind of shaking things loose and preparing you for these big changes so that you can get the things and the stability that you desire. Anyways, my loves, that is my reading for Leo season for you. I'm excited. It's a lot, but it's a lot of good things and a lot of things that I think it's going to set you up for some really great progress in the future. But please like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos, and I'll see you in a different space and time.